what I did is I took your email and I plugged everything because they asked me what do I need, and I listed everything. Oh, you did? That's good. That's a good question. All right, now 3 o'clock. Your Trailblazers are in action tonight. The Clippers are in town. Tip-off at 7. Game day live from Moda Center at 4:30. The first of back-to-back games for Portland. The Denver Nuggets will be in town tomorrow. The Oregon State women are a 3 seed in the tournament. First game tonight in Corvallis against Eastern Washington. Tip-off at 5. You can hear it live on your home of the Beavs, 1190 KEX. Day 2 of the madness. Let's take a look at the scoreboard. Second half, Auburn and Yale are tied at 43. That game being played in the East region. Second half, Florida has a 54-52 lead on Colorado in the South. Finals from earlier today, UConn over Stetson, Marquette top Western Kentucky, Baylor over Colgate, San Diego State winners over UAB by 4, Clemson tops New Mexico, and Northwestern over Florida Atlantic. Oregon will take on Creighton in round 2 tomorrow at 6:40 on True TV and TBS. All right, what's going on, my friends? Chad Doing and Michael Shacker with you. We're both live here at Moda Center. I'm at Section 330 at the Pines, and Michael Shacker is in Section 111 as we bring to you the Rip City Drive up until 4:30, and then Chris Burkhart will have Game Day, and we'll set the table. The Clippers are in town tonight for the second of 2 games. The Blazers in the middle of this 3-game homestand before they take off on an extended East Coast road trip. Coming up on the show, we're going to talk March Madness with very renowned handicapper Brandon Lang. He's coming up at 3:20. And then at 4:20, I'm going to be joined by Michelle Jalili of your Portland Trailblazers to preview what we have coming up tonight here at Moda Center. A lot of great things if you're coming to the game tonight. It is Women's History Month, and tonight is the Trailblazers Women's History Celebration. So a lot of good things going on at the arena tonight, and Michelle Jalili is going to stop by and join me here at the Pines coming up at 4:20. Also, we're going to carry the Oregon State women's basketball games on 1190 KX starting tonight with their first game against Eastern Washington. Tip-off will be at 5, and we'll have every game on 1190 KX throughout their tournament run. So you want to hear the Beavs? No problem. 1190 KX, your home of the Beavs, your place to go. Tip-off tonight will be at 5 o'clock. We're going to eavesdrop in on the conversation that I had yesterday with their head basketball coach, Scott Ruick, who is really a great coach. He's been doing it a long time. He's got a great team and some terrific young ladies that are going to be on stage tonight performing and having a chance to get their tournament off to a good start in Corvallis. They earn the right to play at home, and they will be in Corvallis tonight. If they win, they'll advance and play in round number 2 on Sunday. So if you want to reach out to me, you can find me on X at Chad and Rip City. You can call the show and take part. 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. Here's what I got going on right now. 2 things. 1, I have a lot of vitamins I need to take, but I don't have any water. And so I'm going to be on the prowl for some agua in the very near future. And then I was just texting with Travis Demers, the voice of your Portland Trailblazers, and I informed him that I purchased my first pair of reading glasses today. And I mentioned this on the show the other day, that this whole aging process is very bizarre. There are a lot of things about being older that I enjoy. Better control of emotions, the thought process, being more relaxed with, who I am as a person. I would imagine a lot of you have experienced that as well as you've continued to age. I don't mind gray hair. I exercise. My body is in, pretty good working order, so I like that. I have movement, which is important. And there are things about it I don't like. Hair growing in places you don't want. You do feel like life is passing you by to a degree, so it's kind of strange. But the whole glasses thing, it's weird. I bought them. I got a 1.75, and I tried out some stuff at the drugstore, and I settled on the 1.75, and I was reading stuff off my phone. And even though I didn't want to do it, and I was reluctant to admit that I needed some reading glasses, I got to admit, when I have them on, it's amazing how much better you can see when you're trying to read things. And it's just crazy to see time go by. Travis, when I first met him, this is back in early 2000s. I want to say like 2003, 2004, somewhere in that area. So what is that, like 20 years ago? This is when we were at a different station here in town. He had just got into town, moving out from New York, and he was working at a Guy Talk station right across the hallway. And I was going in to sit in with Gavin Dawson because I was trying to learn and get my foot in the door. And I met Travis, and at the time, he and I were just young and just trying to figure things out and hoping to get an opportunity. And now when I talk to Trav, he's got a wife. He's got 2 young kids. He's the voice of the Portland Trailblazers. He's got a dog named Griffey. And it's just weird to see how that time has gone by. And when I met him, Isaac had just been born, and now he's 21 years old. It's really crazy to see how things, take shape and move along. And that's really the way it is for all of us. Shacker and I have worked together now for an extended period of time. So, I don't know, bizarre. But the reading glasses, I got to give them an A+, because when I put them on to read, I'm amazed at how well they work. It's like, oh, those things really do work. Amazing. I asked a couple people at the drugstore, I'm like, how do you know which readers to pick out? Is there a process? And no one had any answers for me. No one. So I called my dad after I bought them. I said, since you raised me, I thought you should be the first to know that I have purchased my first pair of glasses. And he thought that was pretty funny. All right, I want to start with this, and this is in preparation for the NFL draft. You've heard me talk about Caleb Williams. I think he's a can't-miss prospect. I believe he's the best quarterback prospect to come out in the draft since Andrew Luck. I'm very high on Caleb Williams, and I'm excited to see him play in the NFL. And I do think the Chicago Bears are a very good place for him to start because they've got a good roster. They won 7 games last year. He's entering a division that does not have dominant defenses. I think he's going to be in a position to succeed. The only thing about the Bears I'm uncertain of is their head coach, Matt Eberflus. I'm not convinced he's the right coach, but time will tell. But the majority of people acknowledge that Caleb Williams is the top quarterback prospect in the draft, and most agree that he will go number 1 overall to the Chicago Bears. But I want to give you the other side of the coin. Not everyone believes that Caleb Williams is a can't-miss prospect. In fact, a former NFL scout who is on X at First Round Mock, he put out this detailed evaluation on Caleb Williams. So I'm going to read it to you, and you tell me if he's hating or not, if it seems reasonable or not. You tell me what you think. But this is from a former NFL scout. He wrote and posted on X, there is a reason why he wanted to do that opposed to throwing at the NFL Combine. And this goes back to what he did. He says, let's keep it real about Caleb Williams and his pro day. His turf, his receivers, his terms. And this former NFL scout went on to write, there's a reason why he wanted to do that opposed to throwing at the NFL Combine. And as a former NFL scout, I see right through it. I don't think he wanted to risk having his inconsistent footwork exposed throwing to receivers he wasn't familiar with, and having that displayed with his draft stock riding on it. Of course, he will have the same dynamic as a rookie throwing to receivers he's not familiar with from day one. Every college quarterback has a great pro day. Today, I posted examples of Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell, and Josh Rosen all having great pro days on my page to prove the point. We have to be able to see through the smoke with Caleb Williams. He has erratic and inconsistent footwork all over his game film, and he's going into a league that operates on timing routes that esteems downfield ball placement. He craves getting out of the structure, going into a league that's very structured in every aspect, and he has a slower time to throw, 3.21 seconds, according to Pro Football Focus, going into a league that's about getting the ball out of a quarterback's hand faster, the next-gen stats. These are the 3 reasons he's a poor projection to the NFL. But none of that seems to matter. The regression from 2022 to 2023 on film and also in statistical production. The meltdown we all witnessed that caused him to uncontrollably cry in the mother's arms. The reported unsportsmanlike conduct of refusing to shake hands with Utah and the refusal to meet with reporters after the UCLA game. The documented obscenities painted on his nails aimed at the opponents. None of it seems to matter. All that matters is the mostly unfounded opinions of mainstream media. The cherry-picked highlights and keeping him at number 1. Hell or high water. No matter what he says or does, to the contrary. No matter how defiant him and his dad, Carl, present themselves to be with Caleb refusing to participate at the Combine and reportedly dictating which teams will see his medicals. And with his dad trying to find loopholes in the CBA reported by The Athletic. Who cares? Full speed ahead. Never mind Caleb Williams has been sacked 63 times in the past 2 seasons. Blame it on the O-line. Forget he completed 57.5% against Cal and 56% against Arizona. He'll do better against the Eagles and Lions, right? The fact we all witnessed someone having what I feel with my background was someone having a mental breakdown right in front of our eyes. That's my opinion. Just keep Caleb Williams at number 1, and let's ramp up the pressure and see what happens. I guarantee he'll be a bust if he's drafted in the first 3 rounds, and I'll tell anyone who will listen, just like I did pre-draft with Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, and Kenny Pickett. All the articles are online, but don't worry about that. Just get him to be taken at number 1 and see what happens. I'll tell you what's going to happen. He will fail. There's nothing on his game film that supports him being projected as a first-round pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. And the worst part, believe it or not, none of this is doing him any favors in the end, but that's the saddest part. Building expectations around what he didn't do on film is an absolute recipe for setting him up to fail. That's the irony. The expectations are currently framed in such a way that he will never live up to them. I just hope he can handle the fallout, which I doubt, because he's proven how unequipped he is in being quoted in the LA Times last November about how inexperienced he is dealing with adversity. But I hope he can. I hope he can withstand the backlash of the same public that built him into something he isn't and never will be. Johnny Manziel, Todd Marinovich, and Ryan Leaf barely could. Hopefully he finds a strength he didn't know he had and has support they didn't have when this whole thing comes crashing down and the world sees I cared more about Caleb Williams than anybody else did. All right, so I'll ask you the question. Is this former scout being a hater, or is he giving fair evaluation of Caleb Williams? Now, I think Caleb Williams is a can't-miss prospect at quarterback, but I'm not an NFL scout. I don't study the film. I'm not an NFL guy. I don't know what the coaches are looking for, but I do think that Caleb Williams is going to go number 1, and I would be stunned if he ends up to be a bust. Now, I went through and looked at this former scout's draft order in terms of quarterbacks and what he has. He has Spencer Rattler as his number 1 quarterback. Number 1. So I was a little bit surprised by that, but that's exactly what he had. He has got Spencer Rattler number 1. So we'll see what happens. I would say the tears that he shed in the arms of his mom after that tough loss, I don't have an issue with that whatsoever. He went out there, he balled out, he came up short, and sometimes our moms have a way of bringing the tears out of us unlike anyone else. So I don't have an issue with that. The fingernail thing is a little bit bizarre. Like, I would prefer if my star quarterback doesn't paint his fingernails and drop obscenities on them towards the other opponent. But if he does, so what? It's not that big of a deal. The most important thing, I think, is being able to drop back, process, and deliver the football on time and on target. The athleticism, the scrambling ability, the off-schedule talent that he has will come in handy at times, but it's all about processing and delivering the football on time and on target. My guess is, with what I saw this past season at USC, there were so many issues with that football team across the board that he was just part of the issue. And he knew when he took the field based on the defense that he had to make things happen. They had to score big to win every game. And I think because of that, it probably helped him create some poor habits. Holding on to the football too long, trying to make the big play every down, not taking what the defense had given him because he was trying to make the big play. And I think there are star players who have been in that situation before. And when you do, you struggle at times, and then you got to go back to the basics and get with it. The key for him is going to be this, just like it will be Bo Nix or anyone else that's drafted, getting to the right place and having the right structure in place to where the coaching staff can work with you based on what they're looking for and bring that process of development along, similar to what we saw with Josh Allen in Buffalo. Having the right coaches in place, like a Brian Daboll, to be able to work with the mechanics, help you understand the playbook, be able to process and deliver it on time and on target. And if you work on those things, you can show improvement. And with his physical tools, I think he's going to be fine. All right, we're going to keep things rolling here on the Rip City Drive. When we come back, we'll dive into March Madness with handicapper Brandon Lang. We'll get his take on some of the action here in the first round and what's going to come up this weekend. We'll get his thoughts on Oregon and Creighton. Brandon Lang is up next. Michelle Jalili of the Portland Trailblazers is going to join us coming up at 4:20 here on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, he is now 26-6-2 after coming on the show before the Super Bowl and telling us the Chiefs being underdogs was crazy. So he's awesome at picking the bull. And also his movie, Two for the Money, played by Matthew McConaughey, is about his life. He is also a host of Believe Me on Stadium. Brandon Lang is back on the Rip City Drive. Brandon, what's up, brother?
You know, let's just not bury the lead. Let's just get right to what everybody's wondering what's going on. And I'll tell you, I will be absolutely shocked on the face of planet Earth if the Oregon Ducks do not beat Creighton outright tomorrow.
Oh, so you love Oregon getting 5.5.
Oh, I just don't like them. I love them. Now, quickly, here's why. Look at the SEC in this tournament so far. Mississippi State, and South Carolina, and Auburn struggling, and Kentucky outright, and Florida, and seriously, getting slaughtered, absolutely slaughtered. Look at the Pac-12, Washington State, boom, Colorado, boom, Arizona, boom. That's just off the surface. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of Oregon. I am so tired of this guy for Creighton. Brenner, Brock Brenner, your Brenner, my Brenner. He's a tall, white guy related to Injun Joe on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Dante is going to own him. What's the name of the freshman center? The freshman that plays alongside Dante?
Let's see. You talking about for the Ducks?
Yeah. Kid's a stud. Hill? Something like that?
Yes.
Kid's a stud.
Yeah.
He's a freshman. He's going to play in the league. He's a thoroughbred. The surface. Now let's go to Dana Altman. You want a guy who's making you money? In the history of the NCAA tournament, the man is 17-5 against the number. Think about that.
Boom.
They were a mortal lock bet. Everything you own, your children's, unborn children's children, him yesterday, literally never lost a first-round game, 7-0. Mortal! So, Creighton went to UNLV as a 9-point favorite. Lost that right. So there you go, bro. Love the Ducks. Also, good run, Bill Self. If not for that African-American official calling the worst call in the history of the NCAA tournament, you'd have had a 5-on-4 break for Sanford, and you had an upset. This moron decides to blow the whistle because he thinks there was a foul. Nice going, you home. Unbelievable, bro. Unbelievable. What a scrub.
Terrible.
What an absolute scrub. You're an official. Give the dog a chance. Don't you decide it. Don't. Unless you're 100% positive on your mother's life. You got to eat the whistle. But some of these guys, they think they're bigger than the game, and they want to make the call, and they want to be the guy. That's it. And he literally blew that. There's no way without McCullers they're going to compete with Gonzaga. Listen, you can talk about Oakland. You can talk about Oakland upset at Kentucky. You can talk about everything on the face of the planet Earth. You can. But literally, the most impressive win yesterday was Gonzaga. That McNeese State team was good. They were good. They blew out UAB by 30. And you saw UAB today, how rough and just scruffy they were. And Gonzaga just slapped them. So there you go. The Gonzaga's laying 3.5. So
yeah,
those are your two games tomorrow. The Zags and Oregon. Little two-team parlay. You're good to go.
That's great. You know what's funny? I want your take real quick on John Calipari. I mean, the way people talk about him for years is like he's won multiple championships, but the reality is one, and he's got a lifetime contract from Kentucky. That's a mess.
Somebody call 911 right now and get him arrested for theft because that man is flat out stealing money. And Kentucky's in trouble. There's no buyout. They're stuck with him. What a horrific coaching job. Horrific. You're telling me in all your McDonald's All-Americans, you ain't got one, you can say, listen to me. See that white guard for Oakland? see him, you go guard him in the line from Hoosiers. And when you're done, I want to know what flavor gum he's chewing. Canteen. I mean, come on, bro. Come on. Just another flailing whatever. And by the way, I'll break the story to you. It wasn't the interpreter. It was Ohtani. And every single Major League Baseball player is sitting back laughing going, you think we're buying the interpreter, bro? It was you, bro. It was you. And I have 100% factual evidence that my boy, one of my best friends, who's a member of a club in L.A., is playing golf with Bauer the bookie 3 months ago. Bauer the bookie, my boy said to him, who's your biggest client? Who's the guy that owes you the most money? And Bauer looks at him and says, Ohtani, $22 million.
Wow.
Mouth to God's ears. Mouth to God's ears. So when they raided his home, they got his phone. Went in his phone, saw the exchange, and literally said, "What's this?" And Bauer said, "It's Ohtani. It's Ohtani. He gambles with my book, and he's down $22 million." And so they went to Ohtani's people and said, "Okay." And Ohtani people said, "Listen, you have no evidence whatsoever that he ever spoke to a bookie. He doesn't speak English, okay? It's his interpreter. His interpreter did it all, okay? You got nothing on him, nothing at all. Nothing to link him to the bookie that he placed a bet. It's the interpreter. The interpreter did it. He stole money. He did this, and the interpreter is the Lee Harvey Oswald. You know who's laughing the hardest right now?
Who is that?
Major League Baseball players. They're sitting back going, are you serious? Are you serious? You want us to believe this 5'4" interpreter who looks like he should be a chef at Benihana's stole this guy's money? Took him. And by the way, you look at certain guys who are going to gamble $4 million. It ain't him. Does that guy really look like he's going to bet $4 million on sports?
No way. No way.
Never. In the history of mankind, never going to happen. So.
All right, let me ask you this. Do you think, because the real question is, do you think he got down on baseball? I mean, you've been around this for a long time, your instincts. What does that tell you?
It was soccer. It was soccer and soccer only.
Okay.
That's another thing Bauer told my boy. It was soccer and soccer only.
How do you think the commissioner's going to handle this?
He's done. He's free and clear. The face of baseball is free and clear. The fall guy's the interpreter. Ohtani did nothing wrong. My golden child, who signed for $9 billion with the Dodgers, is free and clear. They can't charge him. They have no evidence that links him to the bookie. It's through the interpreter. So he stole everything from me. He had access to my accounts and he stole everything from me. That's like somebody saying I lost my ATM card and somebody took out $5,000 and I couldn't remember the code of my card, so I literally decided to write my code on the back so I can remember it.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've been doing this for a long time. No, I know it's bad, and don't you think? It would be hard for an interpreter that's making far less than someone like Ohtani. A bookmaker's not going to let someone of those means run up a $4 million tab, right?
Exactly. Well, that's what I told my boy when he said he was into him for that much. I go, that's bad bookmaking, because a real good bookmaker. But when you have a celebrity like that, you kind of just let him keep going, because you can get other business off having him. So you'll let him run up that tab. And once you let him run up that tab, it gets to the point where you're never going to collect anyway. So it just gets out of control. And you don't want to cut him off, because maybe you're thinking, maybe I'll get some of it, maybe I'll get half, maybe I'll get a quarter of it. But at some point you can't cut him off, and he'll just walk. So that's what I said. So it is what it is. But it's comical for people who know about the bookmaking business to ever think that little interpreter is betting on baseball and basketball and this and that, and he lost all that money. You can look at him and know it's not true. He's a little timid guy. He's not the guy in the rated R movie that you're worried about. He's the guy in the PG-13 movie everybody's rooting for. And he ain't gambling $4 million.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's going to be fun to see how this continues to play out. But I would imagine athletes love to gamble, right? And I like what you said there, where if he keeps Ohtani on board, Ohtani's going to, because people may ask him, other high-profile clients, hey, where do you get your action? And he directs them to this guy, Bauer. That's how it works.
That's exactly 100% right. He keeps it quiet. Nobody knows. He's got me, and he's probably picked up other clients. And once his phone got raided and they got Otani, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some other high-profile people that he has in his book that they come after as well. But right now, it's this situation. But that's the truth. If people think that the interpreter is really the person that gambled, they're absolutely crazy. It was 100% Otani across the board. And what's funny is my buddy Tom O'Connell's a baseball agent. He had his big dinner for all his clients. He's got Christian Arroyo, he's got Wade Miley, he's got Brett Phillips. They had their big dinner down in Phoenix. And I was supposed to go, but I couldn't get down there. And I'm like, how'd the dinner go? He goes, great. And I go, do they really believe it's the interpreter? And he goes, are you kidding me? Every single Major League Baseball player knows it was Otani. They know. They're laughing.
So, Brandon, to help me understand this, obviously, depending on the state, sports gambling is legal now, but I'm assuming that was he being investigated by the feds because he was a bookmaker and you're not allowed to have your own bookmaking operation?
Yeah, he's an illegal bookmaker.
Okay.
He's a complete illegal bookmaker. He's got nail salons. He's got tanning salons. He launders his money through those. He literally has done this his whole life. And the feds are cracking down on illegal bookmaking, and they've been after him and his company for years, and they finally got him. Finally.
How do you get your bets down? Do you place them in Vegas? Do you have a runner that goes and places the bets for you? Do you do it online? How do you get your bets down, your action in?
I have an account online. Living here in Vegas, I'll drive down to the book. Red Rock Casino is 5 minutes from where I live, and they'll take as much as $10,000 if I want. And then if I'm out of town, I'll just call my boy who's a bettor, and if I want something, he'll go put it in for me. That's it. I got buddies who are legal book. I got buddies who have illegal books all over. I leave that to them. I don't need that hassle, and I'm not. I don't bet as much as I used to, so I really don't need that outlet anyway.
So you don't get refused at any books if you want to get some action in then.
No, but I'm not as crazy as I was in the Two for the Money days. I'm 61 now. I'm more into lifting and working out, looking great, and hanging out with my new 58-year-old dime-piece girlfriend. Who lives in the Hamptons. So I'm
in the Hamptons.
I'm divorced too. Yeah. I'm moving to New York and moving in with my girl, and she got the personality of Julia Roberts and Pretty Woman, ex-model, 5'8".
Oh.
She's just an absolute. It's like, you know what I am? I'm Charlie from the Wonka factory, who 8 months ago was walking out with the candy bar and found out that there's a ticket left, and I opened it up, and that was the ticket to my girl.
Hey, Brandon, serious question, because I was just talking about aging earlier. I'm 48 years now. What's it like? So after being divorced, what was dating like for you after going through the divorce, and now you found love again? What's that been like?
It's funny. I took 2 years and didn't date and did anything and got in the best shape of my life. And when I say best shape of my life, I'm like 61. I look 41. I look like I just retired from the NFL. I'm shredded. I mean, I am. People see me and go, "Jesus Christ, you're huge." I am. Like I'm just in crazy, crazy, crazy shape. And then once after that 2 years, I got my mind right out of the box. I went on 2 dates off of Hinge, and they were kind of just materialistic. It was in New York, just materialistic, money-looking women. And then I took a month and a half break, and then I was just swiping and came across my girl and just said hello. And she's not from New York. She's from Alabama, and my dad's from Alabama. And we went on that first date and kind of looked at each other and said, we're in trouble here. We're in trouble here. And 8 months later, her last boyfriend was a billionaire, and she broke up. She said she was tired of being, she was trying to be owned. When you're dating a billionaire, they kind of own you, she said. And it just, their time, travel with them, planes, whatever. She goes, I was just tired of it. And he offered her $1 million cash and a $5 million home in the Hamptons to stay with him. And she's like, no. She goes, I want to be in love. And then she met me, and you can just game over. Game over, bro. Game over. It's just, it's spectacular. It's absolutely spectacular. So I would say,
you're 61. So you're 61 and she's 58. So I would imagine the companionship aspect of it's got to be better than anything you've ever experienced.
100%. But another thing is, she's in incredible shape. She takes care of herself. She looks like she's 45. We're both incredibly, incredibly fit, and we have everything in common. And it was literally a 1 in a million shot. Seriously. She went on Hinge. She wasn't on Hinge very long. One of her friends said, "Go on Hinge. Meet a nice guy on Hinge." She's like, "Really?" She's dated millionaires and billionaires her whole life, and she's going to go on Hinge. She's like, "All right, you know what? Fine, I'll go on Hinge." And she met me. It's crazy.
Did she know who you was? Did she know who you were?
No, not at all. And I didn't tell her either. I didn't tell her till, I don't know, 8th or 9th date. So, yep, crazy. Just crazy.
Well, your life, you've lived an interesting life. So what was her reaction to you and what you've done?
Not much, because she acted. She was on soaps in her 20s. She was in Son of a Woman. She was in Studio 54. Oh, no, she was in Carlito's Way. She was in just a lot of stuff. And so she was like, no big deal. So, we're just, we're rocking and rolling. Dude,
that's awesome. Brandon Lang is here on the show. Brandon loves Oregon tomorrow. So what are your big picks? So Oregon, and what else? What else are you on tomorrow?
Just Oregon and Gonzaga. Oregon and Gonzaga.
Okay.
Yep.
Brandon Lang, Believe in Me on Stadium. Brandon, we appreciate the time, and thanks for opening up and sharing the story, man. Congrats, dude, on finding your true love. That's epic.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
You got it. There's Brandon Lang here on the Rip City Drive. Good for him. Took a couple of years off, didn't date, focused on his body, got in shape, and then now he's moving out to the East Coast, the Hamptons. Now I've got to piece together who his girlfriend is, because he gave us some breadcrumbs there. Got to be able to search it out. He loves Oregon. He loves Oregon. That's terrific. All right, telephone number 503-248-0620. We're going to have Michelle Jalili from the Trailblazers stop by here at the Pines. Game day is coming up. Tip-off with the Clippers will be at 7. You can find me on X at Chad and Rip City. 503-248-0620. All right, Chris Burkhardt joining me here at the Pines, section 330 at Moda Center. I know you've got a take on this, so I just want to read a portion of the tweet that I saw today that came from a former NFL scout. He's on X at First Round Mock. I want to read just a portion of it to you, Burkhardt, and get your take, because I asked the question, is he hating or is it just a legitimate breakdown of Caleb Williams' game? There is a reason why he wanted to have his own pro day and not be under pressure, as opposed to throwing at the NFL Combine. And as a former NFL scout, I see right through it. I don't think he wanted to risk having his inconsistent footwork exposed, throwing to receivers he wasn't familiar with, and having that displayed with his draft stock riding on it. Of course, he will have the same dynamic as a rookie throwing to receivers he's not familiar with from day one. Every college quarterback has a great pro day. Today I posted examples of Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell, and Josh Rosen, all having great pro days on my page to prove the point. We have to be able to see through the smoke with Caleb Williams. He has erratic and inconsistent footwork all over the game film, and he's going into a league that operates on timing routes that is esteemed downfield ball placement. He craves getting out of structure, going into a league that's very structured in every aspect, and he has a slower time to throw, 3.21 seconds according to Pro Football Focus, going into a league that's all about getting the ball out. But none of that seems to matter. The regression from 22 to 23 on film and also in statistical production, the meltdown we all witnessed that caused him to uncontrollably cry in the mother's arms, the reported unsportsmanlike conduct of refusing to shake the hands with Utah, and the refusal to meet with reporters after the UCLA game, the documented obscenities painted on his nails aimed at the opponents. None of it seems to matter. All that matters is the mostly unfounded opinions of mainstream media, the cherry-picked highlights, and keeping it at number one, hell or high water. That's a portion of his breakdown on Caleb.
I don't know where he's shopping, but he needs to find a different place to buy his produce because he's only eating sour grapes. That's ridiculous. I don't know how you can watch Caleb Williams and that's what you come out with. Oh, it esteems downfield ball placement. Oh, you mean? Oh, yeah. I've watched him play. He throws a pretty good deep ball, right? And this idea that he wanted to throw with his receivers, so there was nothing to worry about. Did anyone watch Caleb Williams' pro day and go, "Oh, yeah, he was like a fringe number one overall," but the pro day really solidified it? No, the pro day was just a chance to get him to throw and watch it. It had nothing to do with his draft stock. He sits there and he's great outside of the pocket. He single-handedly won games for USC over the last 2 years. And you want to talk about the statistical regression from 2 seasons ago to just last season? I think you mentioned it. USC was a train wreck. An absolute train wreck. The run game was atrocious. They didn't have a ton of weapons at wide receiver. The offensive line was probably bottom tier in the pack. It wasn't very good. So he had to go snap and then improvise. And this idea that you have to be a stand in the pocket type of guy, yeah, that's worked real well for Super Bowl winning seasons for Russell Wilson and the entire MVP runs that Patrick Mahomes has been on. Like, dude, just understand what kind of quarterback Caleb Williams is and draft accordingly and build a team around him. I think you're going to be just fine, Chicago.
Yeah, it's bizarre. He's got Spencer Rattler as his number one quarterback, followed by Michael Penix.
And so Spencer Rattler is the guy you put at number one, but then you knock Caleb Williams for bad footwork and taking too long to throw the ball. I mean, you're an Oklahoma guy prior to transferring. Like, how many times you watch Spencer Rattler just hold on to the ball and not make a decision, right? And Rattler's good. Good for him. He's a good quarterback. He's got good talent, but I'm not taking him over Caleb Williams. Too many people like to watch these things, Chad, and just overanalyze what the hell's going on in front of them. I watch Caleb Williams. I see a game changer.
What's your instincts tell you about the Shohei Ohtani story?
Oh, my gosh. This thing's getting dirtier and dirtier every minute that goes by. It was Chris Carter, was it not, that told all the rookies one year that everybody needs a fall guy?
Yep.
Well, I think Shohei Ohtani's interpreter, unfortunately, became the fall guy. And this whole, they've been friends since they were 13 or whatever, and a whole broken relationship. I have a feeling that there might be a couple million under the table even after this because they might not learn their lesson, right? Hey, be my fall guy. I'll take care of you on the back end. But here's the thing. If it comes out that he was betting on baseball, baseball is in the worst spot they've been in probably ever because they're going to have to indefinitely suspend the greatest player to ever play the game.
Well, they don't want to do that. And Brandon Lang told me, he assured me that he was not betting on baseball. He said that he knows this Bowyer guy, the illegal bookmaker.
Right.
And it was Ohtani that was placing the bets, but it was his interpreter who was placing the bets for him. So he was running everything through the interpreter to get his bets in, but it was not baseball related. My thought is, if you bet on baseball, that's a big-time problem. If he didn't, then baseball is just going to continue to kind of sweep his gambling and the big money that he gambled to this illegal bookmaker under the rug and just move forward.
Here's the thing. Now you obviously have a problem with the illegal bookmaker and all that jazz. But if you're not betting on baseball, this isn't even a slap on the wrist.
I agree.
Right? Because you why get mad at him for making sports bets if you can't turn on a Major League Baseball game without seeing a DraftKings ad or FanDuel's, right?
Yeah.
Stadiums that are now incorporating betting booking sites into their stadiums, right? They have sports books inside stadiums now,
I agree.
Chad. So he's doing something that anyone else can do. As long as he's not betting on the game that he plays, it should be fair.
Yeah. The legalization of sports gambling and the feds giving it back to the states where they have the power to decide, that's really the saving grace here, because all the sports leagues embrace the gambling and encourage it now. So I think that's going to help Ohtani as long as he wasn't betting on baseball. If so, he'll be fine. And I believe that he and the interpreter are still great friends. They're buddies. But it was an understanding that, hey, we need you to take the fall.
Yeah.
I'll take care of you. And then once this story passes, you can reemerge as my official interpreter again down the road. Don't you think that's how it's going to shake out?
I absolutely think so. I don't think he's going to kill a relationship decades in the making because this is
they're boys.
Yeah. And so, it's an interesting situation.
He's not going to steal $4.5 million from his guy.
No, he didn't steal. He didn't steal that. No. It's an interesting situation. The thing is, Chad, if anything comes out about it being related to baseball in any way, I feel like baseball has two avenues here. That is either A, you suspend Shohei Ohtani indefinitely. He's done. Never associated with baseball again. I don't agree with that. Don't do it. But if you don't do it indefinitely, then you got to do the other right thing and just say, okay, the greatest, arguably one of the greatest hitters of all time deserves to be in the Hall, and Pete Rose deserves to be associated with baseball again, right? And so you got to choose your lane here. It's a tough spot for him, but they got a great commissioner over there in Major League Baseball that I wholeheartedly believe will make the right decision.
I'm going to be honest. I don't want Ohtani to get sidelined with any type of legalities because I want to watch him play.
No, I said it a second ago, and I think he's one of the greatest baseball players the game's ever seen. Absolutely. And I don't say that in jest either. He's up there with all the greats they always talk about. So, I don't want to see him sidelined because I like watching good baseball players.
We need Betts and Ohtani to exchange jerseys now in the field. I think that'd be awesome. Don't you think that'd be a good idea?
Yes, you need to do that. Absolutely. Betts and Ohtani, that's money right there.
You excited about your Oregon Ducks advancing to the second round? They'll take on Dana Altman's old team, Creighton, tomorrow. Brandon Lang loves Oregon in that game tomorrow.
Oh, I like them too. I like Creighton as well, but I think the team's riding high. Altman's coaching well. I had the Ducks winning the first two rounds and then getting eliminated in the third, and I had them matching up with Creighton. Obviously, most people pick Creighton to win that game. I just like this. This is March, man, and this is the stories you get. You get a team who was totally not even on the bubble. Like, no one had Oregon in, and the only way they were going to get in was to win that Pac-12 tournament. They did. Then they win a first-round game, and now here they are, the storyline. He gets to go up against a team that he coached at for a decade and a half with the team that he's now been with for a decade and a half, two schools that he loves. March Madness is awesome.
And the Pac-12 so far with a good showing. Colorado has a 3-point lead, 99-96 over Florida with 20 seconds left in the second half.
Man, that's a big win right there.
And then tomorrow, he said he likes two teams, Oregon and Gonzaga. And Gonzaga got the big win over McNeese last night. So we'll see how things shake out. But it is fun to check the action. I enjoy it.
Oh, it is, and apologies to all of our Gonzaga friends out there. You and I have many of them here in the media world here in Portland. But Gonzaga in college football, like, they're the Clippers of NCAA football. What I mean by that is you can't trust them. No matter how good that team is and how many aspirations they have and how much they look like a championship team, you can't trust them.
All right, we'll come back, and when we do, I'll give you a sports report. And then we're going to hear from Oregon State basketball coach Scott Rueck here on the Rip City Drive. All right, Trailblazers in action tonight. Clippers are in town. Tip-off at 7. Game day live from Moda at 4:30. The first of back-to-back games for Portland. The Denver Nuggets will be in town tomorrow, same tip time at 7. The Oregon State women are a 3 seed. Game 1 tonight in Corvallis against Eastern Washington. Tip-off at 5. You can hear it live on your home of the Beavs, 1190 KEX. Oregon and Creighton meet in the second round tomorrow. Tip-off at 6:40 on True TV and TBS. Creighton favored by 5.5. Checking the scoreboard in March Madness. Right now, Yale on top of Auburn, 78-76 with 9 seconds to play. Games that have gone final. Northwestern over Florida Atlantic, 77-65. Clemson tops New Mexico. San Diego State over UAB by 4. Baylor downs Colgate. Marquette over Western Kentucky. UConn hammers Stetson. Colorado tops Florida 102-100. All right, the Oregon State women's basketball team will kick off their tournament run tomorrow against Eastern Washington. It's a 5 o'clock tip on ESPNU. They'll be taking on Eastern Washington in Corvallis. It's my pleasure to welcome head coach Scott Ruick to the Rip City Drive. Scott, good afternoon. It's great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me. Great to be with you.
Well, you guys are a 3 seed, and you'll take on Eastern Washington. You guys landed right at about where you were projected. What was your reaction when you saw the bracket released?
Yeah, I was pleased. I mean, of course, everybody was speculating we'd be at home. We in the previous reveals, we were in that category. We lost to Stanford in the Pac-12 tournament, and so that didn't probably hurt us, I didn't think. And so, but you never know until you see it up there. And so as soon as you see your name, it was a relief. And you're going to be playing against great teams, no matter who you play this time of year. Teams that have won 29 games like Eastern Washington and are on a roll and feel great. And so, so who you play, it doesn't matter as much. And it's just great to be at home in Gill Coliseum in front of our fans.
Well, Coach, there's a lot of pressure that comes with tournament play, but I'm wondering for you, when you're at home and you're expected to win, is there a different kind of pressure that comes with that?
Yeah, I love that question. That is something I don't think a lot of people factor in. You just assume you're going to be at home and what an advantage that is. And, my experiences over the years, both Division III and Division I now, I think there is a little bit of a pressure, and it's something you kind of have to fight and work against, just because it is no advantage. These teams are used to winning. They're used to winning on the road. They're coming in, and if anything, they have nothing to lose. You're supposed to win. So you just got to really understand it's going to be a battle. It's going to be you just expect the toughest game you've played all year. And, it would be a mistake to think that home court adds anything. And, hopefully, that comfort does, but I think it's a mistake to assume it anyway. And so, yeah, there's a little bit of a funky pressure that's possible. But bottom line, this time of year, it's just fundamentals.
I appreciate that answer. Coach, I would imagine for you, it's, possession, one possession at a time, one game at a time. But how do you get that information to your players to where they can embrace it and understand it truly is one possession at a time, one game at a time here in the tournament?
Yeah, I think this time of year, we've been through so many things together, and the year, it's long, and we've been through all the battles, and we've had moments where we could be overconfident, and we've had moments where we could be fearful. And, you just build that culture throughout the year where it literally is possession by possession. Respect every opponent. Always believe in yourself no matter what. And, so that's what we need to just continue to do. So it's really nothing new, other than the fact you're fighting for your life now. And so everybody knows that. And, so it just demands your very best, and the only thing to focus on is this possession. And I think that's what this team in particular has done a great job of all year long.
We're talking with Oregon State head coach Scott Ruick here on the Rip City Drive. How did you decide to handle the gap week following the Pac-12 tournament? I'm sure you want rest, but you don't want the rust.
Yeah, it's funky. I mean, we will take the court tomorrow night, and it will be almost exactly 2 weeks, since we've played a game. And And that's true. That's just the way we've always done it. And so that week is funky because you don't want to lose momentum that you've built. At the same time, it is an opportunity to rest. And so we took Monday and Tuesday off. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday after we came home. And I think that was great. I think everybody deserved it, needed it. And then we came back Wednesday and we had 4 great practices, and we made them very competitive. That's kind of been a theme for this team. We didn't win very much a year ago. It was a tough year from that standpoint. We got better through the year, but we didn't win. And so as soon as last year was over, last spring, we just practiced winning. And everything we did, we just practiced. Everything was competitive. Even if it was just a individual shooting game, you're shooting against yourself and you got to hit a number and to get the win or the loss. And so we practiced winning again last week, and I thought it was a very productive week for us.
I like that. I like the idea of a competitive environment. How do your players respond to that type of competition in practice?
They love it. They love it. That's why I'm doing it. I tried it a year ago, and you always kind of just bounce things off. And, does this resonate? Is this, but this is a group that they came here to be a part of this. I mean, they all chose us because of our history. And we win and we get into the tournament. And, last year obviously was not well accepted. It was frustrating, and so this group stayed together through it and said, we are going to turn this thing around. And what makes them special is not only are they talented, but they are hyper competitive. And that competitive nature makes practices really fun, and it makes them really fun to coach.
Speaking of special, Reagan Beers, love watching her play. How is she doing right now ahead of the tournament after missing a couple of games late in the season?
Yeah, I thought she got her momentum back, after, once she got back. That first game was kind of, just strange having to wear a mask, and having to miss a couple weeks, but then got a lot of momentum in our final home game against Cal, and then carried that into the tournament, in Vegas. And so she seems to, right now, I mean, it just seems like Ray, just normal all the way back, and her conditioning's all the way back. And so she's poised for a great tournament.
Boy, I tell you what, Coach, it must be nice. Your inside-outside game with Beers, and you've got Gardner and Kelsey Reese. That's nice to have. I mean, you've got a good combination of, people that can bang down low, but also, players that can step up and make shots. I like the inside-outside.
Yeah, I mean, that's been by design forever for me. I've always been a 4-out coach, and I've been real fortunate to have a lot of great post players, that are really tough covers individually. They're great one-on-one defenders as well. And then, we either lock down the outside defensively, we do. And then on the other end, I like to have 4 3-point shooters on the floor at all times. I mean, that's the most difficult thing to defend, when we're trying to scheme somebody else. And so I want that for us. And so that's what this team has. And it's just been this really neat combo of an inside out, like you mentioned, and a team that's just committed to the defensive end of the floor and, on all over the place. And so this team, at the beginning, before we were picked 10th, right, before the season. And,
yes.
And nobody gave us much of a chance, but they were probably curious. I mean, and we were the same. And, as I was looking at just the individual pieces and as it came together, factoring in the character of the group and the hunger of the group, we thought we could be something special.
How long did it take you to recognize you had something special? Did you know right away, or did it take a few weeks, or when did it click for you where you're like, we can do something here?
A few weeks is right on. We had our foreign tour in August, and so when you do that, you get it once every 4 years, and so it hit perfect. We had a trip to Italy, and when you get to take one of those foreign tours, what the rules allow are 10 real practices. So we had 10 practices in August, just a normal 2.5 hour whatever practice. And, so you saw it coming together, the way that they picked concepts up and the hunger and the competitiveness. But I'm telling you, we're playing an exhibition game in this super hot, humid gym somewhere in Italy against, some pros, random pros. And, it would seem like it's not that big a deal. But the way this team played, the way they competed, and just, they're diving on the floor, they're flying up and down the court. And I was like, my goodness. Everybody that was watching was just kind of like, wow. It just wasn't common, and so I thought, right away, we knew we had something special.
I wanted to ask you about that trip. When I spoke with Tamia, she said the trip was great not just because they got to play basketball, but she found that a lot of the time spent, whether it be with a broken down bus or in the airports, being with teammates and getting a chance to know each other a little more intimately outside of basketball. She said that that really helped the connection on the floor. Do you see it the same way?
Oh yeah, I mean that's my design. I recruit people that I'd love to be around and love to coach, and then if I like them and if they're fun to be around and they're mature and can have a conversation, and then the team would love them and their teammates would, and then when you have 13 people that have that level of maturity, you've got a really special locker room, and that's always been my design, and so a team retreat every year is a big part of our program and building those relationships. So ultimately, it is bigger than basketball. I think that's our culture. And so that trip, when we get to do it, and this was our third time taking a team, it just turns into an 11-day retreat. And you're going to get to know each other, and whether you like everybody or not, but it doesn't matter. It's just you're going to learn to respect and appreciate each other, and that's what happened.
Coach, Eastern Washington, they've got some experience. They defend hard. They like to crash the boards as a team. What's your take on this matchup and what you're going to see tomorrow?
You're all over it. Yeah, that's a great scout right there. They've got an elite point guard. Jamie started at Arizona State and comes from a basketball family and is now in her, she's either a grad or a grad plus. I don't know if it's her 50th or 60th year, but she's a pro the way she operates. And so, their floor leader is a coach on the floor, and I love watching her play. And then you're right, they get after it defensively. They can hurt you all over the court offensively. I love how unselfish they are. They throw a skip pass like every coach would envy. They see the floor so well. And you mentioned their rebounding, and that, when a team crashes the board that hard, you just can tell how bad they want to win. And it's a team that's won 29 games this year. And, some of them have been close, but they just find a way and they expect to win, and they have different people rise. And so we played them a year ago at our place. I think it ended up being a 7-point game. And, they earned my respect that night. I mean, they were tough. And so I really like this team. It's going to take a great effort, and it should be a great game.
It's going to tip off at 5. It's on ESPNU. I've got one more question for you. You've been coaching for a long time, and I could be wrong here, but I think in Division III, you don't get any days off in between games. How helpful is it to get a day off between games in this tournament that you're in now?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I remember those days. I was just talking the other day. Oh man, I was talking the other day about the year that we won the national championship at George Fox, and that's the reason I'm at Oregon State was that win. And our game finished on Friday night in Holland, Michigan, a 3-hour time difference, at Hope College at 8 p.m. their time in the semifinal. We beat College of New Jersey, and we played Washington University, who's like the UConn or Tennessee or South Carolina now of Division III, the next day at 1 p.m. The next day. I was up till 5 a.m. that morning, cramming for that game with, I had one assistant at the time, $8,000 assistant. And that's what Division III is. It's just this crazy grind, and, but it was back to back. And that was honestly, that's as hard as it gets, and so it is so nice to have that day off in the middle. Wow. And so this is much better, but those days I wouldn't trade for anything. That was magic.
Well, Coach, I've never met you face-to-face, but I just want to let you know that I respect the job that you're doing. I think your team, your girls represent the state so well, and I'm excited to see what you guys can do in the tournament. You got some talent. I think you guys got a chance to make some noise, so I wish you the very best, and thanks for coming on the show. I enjoyed that conversation.
Me as well. And so thanks for having me. We appreciate the opportunity, and we're so supported, and the relationship with our fan base is unbelievable. And so grateful to do what we do, where we do it, and loving this team. And I'm just really pulling for them, just like everybody else is, as we make this run.
That's great. All right, Coach, good luck, and we'll watch you tomorrow.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right, big thanks to Coach Ruick for joining the show. The Beavers will kick off their tournament run tonight. Tip-off is at 5, and you can hear it live on your home of the Beavers, 1190 KEX. All right, we're live here at Moda Center. Tip-off with the Blazers tonight, coming up at 7. And joining me next will be Michelle Jalali to give us a preview of their Women's History Celebration tonight here at Moda Center. Tip-off at 7. Game day will start at 4:30. All right, Rip City Drive live here from Section 330 at the Pines. And I'm so glad that she was able to come up and join me today because she helped me with the pronunciation of her last name, which I've been butchering now for a few weeks. But she is the executive director of DEI for the Portland Trailblazers. It is Michelle Jalali, like
Nailed
lollipop.
It. Yep, you nailed it.
See, once you said lollipop, now I'll remember that forever, and I'll never mispronounce your name.
Thanks for trying. I appreciate it.
All right. So I think we'll start with this because you joined us a few weeks ago, but I think a lot of people still don't know, and your role is very unique with the team. But for those who don't know, we hear DEI being thrown around a lot, but what exactly is DEI, and what does that mean for you and the Portland Trailblazers?
Absolutely. So, yes, I think diversity, equity, and inclusion has definitely been thrown around quite a bit. But for us at the Trailblazers, I think it's really how we integrate equitable practices, celebrating diversity, really highlighting what it means to be inclusive into everything that we do. And for me in my role, it is our internal work, making sure that our employees feel represented, heard, seen. And externally, it's really making sure that when we say everyone is a part of Rip City, that we really mean it.
That is terrific. Now, tonight is a special night because it's the final night. We're nearing the end of the regular season, so tonight is your final celebration night, and we're in the middle of March, which is Women's History Month, and tonight is Women's History Celebration here at Moda Center, which is really cool. And what I love is you handed me this, and everyone that comes in tonight is going to get this passport, and it's beautifully put together like a Hallmark card, and it says Rip City Women's History Celebration, and listed inside of the passport that you hand out are all of the different activations that you have going on throughout the arena that people can take part in that are a part of celebrating women's history. So tell me about how this concept came together.
Absolutely. So, I mean, when you walk into the arena, there's always something to do, right? And for our celebration of women's history, it was really important that we kind of created something that everyone could see all the great things that they could get involved in. And so from the time that somebody walks in, they're handed this passport. And it talks about our community partner for the night. It talks about the different activities that are happening at different levels of Moda Center. It even talks about what to expect for halftime. And so it kind of builds a little bit more excitement as to how we're celebrating the women of Rip City and how folks can get involved.
That is terrific. And what's really neat is you're a perfect example, right? You're part of this celebration because you are someone that you just told me, and I love your story because, you know, you were born in Canada, you went to college here, you created your own company, and now you have a chance to work for a sports team. You told me, what am I going to do with all this education? And you decided, I'm going to do something that I really want to do, and now you're working with a sports team. So I think you're a perfect example of why we should celebrate, because I grew up in a time when sports broadcasting or working for a sports team was very male-dominated. But the great part is now, and the Trailblazers are encouraging all different types of people to apply and make them a part of the organization, but there's never been better opportunities for young ladies who have a desire to get involved in the sports than right now, and you'd be a perfect example of that. That's cool.
Thank you for saying that. I think it's really, really exciting for us to be able to highlight not just women in sports, but also speak to the fact that young women of all different walks of life can not only be anything that they want to be, but that this is a space that they'll be celebrated when they come, not just tonight, not just through this month, but all year long as well. And yeah, just for me, as you mentioned in my path, I think being able to be a woman in sports also is an exciting part of my career, but it's also a part of a larger story of how women can kind of get to wherever we want to be.
I've noticed it when I walk around the concourse. I've seen that you have different profiles of different women in our country, people that have been difference makers, and then you have a little plaque with a write-up talking about their legacy and some of the things they've left behind. It's kind of nice because some of the people I had forgotten about, and you get a chance to read on what they've done. Yeah. I kind of like that. As you walk through the concourse, you see that. Yeah,
we have these posters on the 100 level that were actually that were highlighting women who are just trailblazers, change makers, as you mentioned. And those women were nominated by our business resource group, our Women of Rip City business resource group. And so they actually got together and said, who are the women that have inspired us, that motivate us, and how can we share that with the greater Rip City? And so that's why we decided to put these profiles together. They're beautifully done, and it's exciting to be able to highlight really dominating, incredible women. It's
Michelle Jalali who's joining us here on the Rip City Drive, getting ready for a Women's History Celebration tonight at Moda Center. The Trailblazers have done a really good job over the course of time of working with different people in the community. And you mentioned before that you get a chance to partner up with different nonprofits.
Yep.
Which is the foundation that you're working with on behalf tonight?
Sure. So our nonprofit partner for tonight is She Flies. It's a Sports Oregon initiative, really connecting women and young girls to sport. Is perfect alignment. And that's just one of our nonprofit partners that we work with. That's women led and run and supported. But we're raising money for them tonight via our 50-50 raffle. We have a really cool retail item in collaboration with Wildfang, and proceeds will go towards She Flies as well. So it's really about highlighting the folks that are doing the work in community, and She Flies is a great example of that.
With your calendar, and you had many celebration nights throughout the course of the season, is that a year-round process, and how often do you guys meet to come up with the different ideas that you're going to have throughout the course of a basketball season?
Well, there are so many of us that get together to make this night happen. As soon as the season schedule is released, we start trying to plug in which game is going to work best. How are we going to make sure that we're choosing nights and days that will work best for community? And that's when the planning part, season starts, and we're looking at who do we want to select for a community partner, what folks do we need to get involved to start the planning process, what do we want the night to look like, what entertainment elements, what activities, things of that sort. So we start very early, and then we just continue to meet and build. As you mentioned, we have celebration nights that we do throughout the entire season, but we're highlighting and celebrating women throughout the entire year. This just gives us a unique opportunity to bring everybody in for one night to really amplify the voices of women in Rip City.
What is the reaction you've gotten from fans in terms of your celebration nights? And then on top of that, do fans reach out and offer ideas for different things that you could maybe highlight or celebrate throughout the course of the season?
I think we've had some really great success with our celebration nights. Every year we're trying to build on them, and that's what we should do. In general, I think that our fans are not just receptive, but also really excited for these nights. I've had fans reach out and say, hey, I just moved here and I'm excited to come to a Trailblazers game, and I see that it's your AAPI Heritage Night or your Black History game or your Women's History game, and I really want to go to that specific game. So we're not just reaching out to fans in that unique way, but we're also building kind of our community together. And when fans come and see what it actually looks like and what it could be, I think they're excited to share their feedback, their excitement, their ideas. Our staff, our community, our nonprofit partners, we always love hearing that feedback.
Oh, I was going to tell you, I think you came on right before HBCU night.
Yes.
Where you had the celebration, and Florida A&M's band, which is world-renowned, was in. When I walked into Moda that night, long before the game, I was like, what is that racket? And I walk in, and they were practicing down there right by the docks.
Yep, it was Prairie View, yes, and Prairie View's Marching Storm. I mean, literally, they were – you couldn't miss them. I mean, the sound, the cohesiveness, it was just really it was really dynamic, and they were practicing, and the night itself was really powerful. It was a great moment for Rip City to see
they put on a show.
Culture. They really did.
Awesome.
It was phenomenal. So we're just trying to keep that momentum as we move into tonight for Women's History.
And thank you for correcting me. I said Florida A&M, but it's Prairie View A&M.
Yep.
I got too many sports teams running through my mind right now because of March Madness.
Of course, no problem at all. And Prairie View's Marching Storm was phenomenal to work with. They were just incredibly professional, so on top of it, and talent like through the roof. So we're glad that we had them here. And like I said, it's just continuing that momentum, that energy as we move into Women's History Celebration tonight.
All right. The Blazers do such great work with the community. And, a lot of times I think as people or companies, no one likes to take credit and say, hey, look at what we did. And I understand that. But I think the Blazers have done great things in the community. But now in the time that you've been with the Trailblazers, like, what is something that you guys have accomplished or something that you're doing or continuing to do that you're most proud of?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm really proud of a lot of the work that we do. I think as an organization, we've taken a strong stance in making sure that we are prioritizing our community voices in all of our work. I think our celebration nights are things that are really special for our community.
Yeah.
We always are amplifying a nonprofit partner. We're bringing in vendors and small businesses that belong to that community. We're celebrating in the arena and in the community throughout the month. And I think it's a really authentic tie to how everybody contributes to our larger initiatives around celebrating our community and Rip City in general. And that is something that I'm honestly very proud of, not because I take lead in some of those pieces, but because it's the one time that I think we all collaborate on something that's much bigger than us.
All right, here's a question I have for those who are listening that are coming down to the game tonight. I'm looking at the passport and the different activations. How do you suggest someone goes about visiting some of the different activations that you have on your passport tonight? Should they focus on all of them, or should they focus on the ones that are closest to where they're going to be sitting? What's the best way to do it, do you think?
Man, there is no right way to explore the Moda Center tonight. But if I had to say, I would say make your way around the 100 level and then move up to the different levels, especially the 300 level, to go visit some of our other nonprofit partners who will be in the building. We have a 360 video booth with a women's history theme, so you can take something home, post it on social media. We have different DJs that will be in the building tonight, local women DJs. And so as you look at the passport, look at what is most interesting to you, but also try to challenge yourself to get through it all.
All right, and I've got to ask you, Michelle, give me one or two females. It could be family, friends, maybe mentors, teachers that have been influential in your life that have allowed you to get to where you're at today.
Well, I come from a long line of very dynamic and intelligent women in my family, so I would have to give a shout out to my sister and to my mom. Those two keep me focused, keep me on track.
Where are they at now? Are they here or are they elsewhere?
No, they're on the East Coast.
East Coast.
Yeah, they're in Silver Spring, Maryland, right outside of D.C.
Is it weird being away from mom and sister?
I miss them every day, but we FaceTime all the time.
FaceTime helps.
Definitely it helps, and the time zone changes make it a little challenging, but they are the two that I automatically think of. They have been the people who have been rooting for me from the time I was born and continue to do so, and so those would be the two women that I'd love to shout out. And professionally, I work with some incredible, talented, dynamic, powerful women within our organization, and the Annie Klugs of, running our community programs team, the Miriam Maidens running our people and culture teams and our impact teams. I mean, they're just some really powerful and dynamic women that I look up to.
And I think this is a representation of ownership, because from what I've been told, too, these are initiatives that are very important to Jody as well.
Absolutely, and unbelievably supportive as well.
All right. Is there anything else that we need to get out? Did we hit all aspects of Women's Celebration Night here at Moda?
I feel like we did. I'm so excited for folks to come in and see what we've put together and to be a part of our celebration as we celebrate women.
Do you get any moment after the season to just exhale, or is it right on to planning for the next year?
No, we're already starting to plan for next year. We got a lot to do, so we're excited.
All right. So just remember Lollipop, Michelle Jalali joining us here on the Rip City Drive as we get ready for the Clippers and Trailblazers tonight. Tip-off is at 7, and when you come in tonight, you will get the passport for Women's History Celebration here at Moda Center. Michelle, I really appreciate your time coming up here to the Pines and hanging out. It's great to have a conversation with you. All right, big shout-out to Walt Shearer for making this happen. We appreciate that. When we come back, it's time to kick over to Blazers Game Day as we set the table for you for the Blazers and Clippers here on 620 Rip City Radio.
Why, hello there, Rip City. Welcome into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhart here with you. Outside Section 330, up at the Pines. Come say hi if you get into the building today. Blazers taking on the Los Angeles Clippers for the second game in a row. The first of a back-to-back before taking on the Denver Nuggets tomorrow night right back here at Moda. And in the last game out against the Clippers, it was an interesting little game to say the least, especially with that defense, question mark, by James Harden. I don't know if you guys saw that play from James Harden where he kicks out to Kawhi Leonard and then closed out on Kawhi Leonard. Twitter was having a good time with it, saying, yeah, that's right, James Harden, he's a two-way player. We've been trying to tell you. Plays good offense, plays good defense. I mean, Kawhi did miss the shot, so I guess the defense did come in pretty handy there for old James Harden. Unfortunately, the shot contest does not go in his official stats for anything he did in the game. It was one of those games where I think you're the Clippers, and you know you're good, right? And the Blazers they're having their downtime, right? They're 19 and 50 through 69 games here. So the wins are hard to come by, but that was just disrespectful. Yeah, I laughed. It was kind of funny, but it was disrespectful. And maybe the Blazers will use that as a little bit of motivation tonight. I mean, I'd put that on loop if I were coach. Be like, this is the team you're playing tonight. A team that has so little faith in you to get the job done, they're going to play defense against their own guys. And then see what happens. Go out there. Lay the lumber. Have a little bit of pride, a little bit of respect, see what happens. And in the game, it was an interesting game all the way around. I mean, the Clippers were able to flex when they needed to, but there was a lot of things I liked in this game. I liked the defense from Tamani Kamara. I liked the defense from Ryan Rupert. I liked the defense that we saw from Scoot at times, too. Like, I thought everyone was playing well on the defensive side. The shots weren't falling the way they needed them to. And the Clippers, man, there was times where whether it be Tamani or DeAndre Ayton at one point, just absolutely textbook perfect defense on James Harden, and still hits the shot. Like, that's just how good James Harden is. He's one of the best players in the league over his entire career for a reason. Taking a look at the box score, final score in that game, by the way, 116 to 103 in favor of the Clippers. Paul George led the way for the Clippers with 27 points on 10 of 18 shooting. He had 6 rebounds and 4 assists as well. Kawhi Leonard had 24 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists on 9 of 16 shooting. And Kawhi is one of those interesting players, man, because he can flex on you when he wants to and really remind you why he's one of the best players in the NBA. Like, he had it a couple times in that game where it's like he got the steal from Scoot, pushed him out of the way, warded off his defense, goes all the way down the court, gets an easy dunker, an easy lay-in. A couple times where he drove into the basket, never picked up his dribble, kept the ball alive, and got up a good shot. When he wants to, he reminds you why he's so darn good. Zubac, he had 24 points, 9 rebounds. James Harden, 19 points, a season-high, 14 assists. Amir Coffey chipped in 11 off the bench. Daniel Theis, he had 10. Brandon Boston Jr., he had 9. For your Trailblazers, they were led in scoring by Scoot Henderson, who had 18 points. And he ended the night 6 of 15, which is not, the greatest of shooting nights. But he started the night pretty poor. And I thought as the day went on, he started to get his shot. And even if the shot wasn't falling, he definitely started to look a little bit more comfortable taking the shot. What's interesting with him is, it was only a few games ago they were playing Chicago, and they were playing DeMar DeRozan, right, who is a mid-range king, a mid-range assassin. He thrives just inside the three-point line, that 15-foot range. And Scoot had a couple pretty good mid-range shots in this one as well. Good ability to stop on the dribble, pop up, get the shot up, and he hits that one with pretty good efficiency. You'd just like him to be a little better, a little more aggressive at the rim. And, of course, that three-point shot, I think, will come eventually. Sometimes it takes time. Now, Tamani Kamara, he had just 3 points. Chris Murray had 17. I think 11 of them came in the first quarter when he was 3 of 4 from deep. Really camping out in that corner and taking advantage of the defense. Ended the night 7 of 11 shooting overall, 3 of 6 from deep. Yeah, and that corner 3 was flying. And that's, as Casey Holdolf pointed out on Twitter, if he can add that corner shot to his game, that corner 3, it might change his career trajectory a little bit. He goes from end of the bench guy to possible rotation guy if he can hit that shot with any consistency. Because defensively, it still has more to learn. But again, he thought he played pretty well defensively, all things considered, against guys like Paul George and James Harden in that game. Now, DeAndre Ayton and Ant were kind of standouts for this one, but for all the wrong reasons. It was kind of the first time in a long time either one of them had a bad game, and unfortunately both of them had a rough game on the same night. Anthony Simons had just 14 points. DeAndre Ayton finished the night with 8 points and 7 rebounds, snapping his little streak of 20 and 10 games. So hopefully you can get more from those two. I mean, on the floor, those are your two best players, so you want to get the most out of them as you can. On the bench, Jabari Walker had 12. Also had 3 rebounds. Dwap Reith had 8 points. Delano Banton in 28 minutes. He had 12 points. And in this game, with Scoot getting back in the starting lineup, second game, no minutes restriction, it ended up playing out the way I had hoped it would, and that was Scoot, getting more minutes than Delano when it was all said and done. Now, I like Delano Banton. I like what he's doing this year. I honestly don't know what his long-term prospects are with the team and where he fits in, but I do know that you have Scoot Henderson, and you want him on the court, so I want Scoot getting those minutes. And there was a couple of games there. Obviously, again, minutes restriction was in play. But, yeah, Delano Banton was getting 38 minutes while Scoot was getting 24. And I would have liked to see that flip. And it did kind of flip in this one with Scoot Henderson getting 35 and Delano Banton getting 28. And, of course, 20 solid minutes of action from Ryan Rupert as well. Taking a look at the team stats. Field goal percentage, the Clippers shot 52%. The Blazers shot 48.1%. The Blazers won the three-point battle 15-13. They each took 15 free throws. The Clippers hit 13. The Blazers hit 10. The Clippers won the rebound battle 42-38. The assist battle 29-21. And the steals, that one really separated these two as the Clippers ended up with 15 steals. The Blazers had just 6. Clippers also had 7 blocks. Largest lead of the night was 27. That's a quick rundown of what happened in the last game for your Blazers. And now they get a chance to do it all over again against the very same Los Angeles Clippers. And taking a look at who's going to be on the court for your Blazers tonight. We'll get you some updates throughout the night. Of course, we'll head down to hear from Chauncey Billups in about 30 minutes, and he will likely give us the update as the latest one that we have. But as of yesterday, Malcolm Brogdon, Shaedon Sharpe, Robert Williams III, all listed as out. Jeremy Grant, dealing with a right hamstring strain, is doubtful. Justin Minaya, dealing with being a two-way player, not an injury, but dealing with being a two-way player. And Matisse Thybulle with right ankle soreness are both questionable. And Anthony Simons is probable with left knee tendinitis. And then earlier today, this was about 3 hours ago, it was updated that DeAndre Ayton left elbow tendinitis is also questionable for tonight's game against the Clippers. So again, we'll get you an update on the latest health report from everybody when Chauncey Billups heads to the podium. And it's usually the first question anyone asks. Whoever gets the first question goes, Coach, who's playing tonight? and usually Chauncey's like, yeah, well, so-and-so, he's out, and so-and-so, yeah, we're still waiting. He's game time decision. We'll get you an update on all of that. We'll take a quick break here on Blazers Game Day. When we return, we're going to talk Scoot Henderson. It's time for What's the Scoot? Coming up on Blazers Game Day on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhart here with you, filling in for Chad Doing. Don't worry, he'll still be here. He's got the Blazers pregame show coming at you at around 5 o'clock. And then, of course, Blazers tipping off. I said 5 o'clock. I meant 6 o'clock. Blazers tipping off against the Clippers at 7 right here on your home, the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. It is now time for What's the Scoot, and what is the Scoot? What is going on with the Blazers' third overall pick? And it's kind of like I mentioned in the breakdown of last game. He had a nice little showing last game against the Clippers, ended up leading the team in scoring. The shot isn't as efficient as we'd like it to be yet. I think that one's just going to come with time and getting those shots up and getting confidence, really. I think he has it in him. It's just a matter of getting that out. And what I liked in the game against L.A. just a few nights ago was that as the game progressed, I felt that he was just a little bit more confident in those shots. And I think that's why he started to get a couple going towards the end of the game. And not even necessarily confident that, hey, this the shot's going to fall, but just confident in taking the shot, right? Like, if you hesitate, you're done. You're totally done. You can't hesitate at all. So he's had a lot of times where he's driving into the basket. He gets up in the air. You know, he thinks he's going for a layup. Then he's like, oh, no, I need to pass the ball. And then it's a turnover or it's a bad pass, and the team has to reset. Like, you know, don't do so much of the trying to overthink the situation, right? Don't outthink the room, right? So he just needs to go in there, get confident, get comfortable, and just be Scoot, man. And you go back and, you know, you see highlights, because there was obviously some highlight reels going around the last few days with the news that the G League Ignite is folding today. So, you know, he's a G League Ignite product, and you go watch those highlights, and, you know, he attacked the rim with a reckless abandon, right? Like, there was no questioning what he was going to do with the ball in his hands. And you just need to see that a little bit more. Just a little more consistency, and then driving into the basket, or if he's rising up for a shot, he's doing it 100%, right? You can't take a shot at 90%. You can't have any doubt that you're not making the right decision. You have to take it 100% confidence. You have to make every pass with 100% confidence that you're making the right play. That's what we want to see. And then, you know, secondarily, you know, we've talked about this with some of the local reporters, Dan Meringue and Sean Hyken, etc. And one thing I definitely want to see Scoot start to do is just hold on to the ball longer within the flow of the action. And again, what I mean by that is just sometimes he just picks his dribble up a little too early. And once you've picked your dribble up, especially if you've left your feet, now you're committed, and you have to make an instantaneous decision, and it may be the wrong one. And that's why I noted Kawhi Leonard at one point in that game. He drove into the basket, and he dribbled the entire way, turns his back to his defender, keeps dribbling, gets a shot up. He was in control at all times. If he wanted to stop and dribble back out to the three-point line, reset the play, he could have done it. If he wanted to pick the ball up real quick and kick the ball out for a pass, he could have done it. But because he never let that dribble go, he was in 100% total control. Now, if you pick that ball up, he's driving, then he stops and picks it up. Now he's on an island. Defense crashes in on him. Now he has to make a decision. Granted, Kawhi Leonard's going to make a good decision. That's what he does. But you got to be careful. And that's one of those things that stood out when you see a player with that confidence that just goes in. He's going to control the ball and know that he's going to make the right decision at all times. And he's never going to put himself in a compromised position because, again, ball control is his. He's not giving it up. He's not leaving his feet. He's not picking the ball up early. He's not launching himself to the basket early. I feel like Scoot does that at times. Like, goes up for a lay-in, but he just does it just a step too soon, and you know now you lose all your power because you're going slow now to the rim, right? You're almost on your downward trajectory through the air. As weird as that sounds, just be strong, be confident, and I think we'll be good. I did like what I saw towards the end of the game, though, and I just want to see more of that. And it's hard because, I mean, yes, Chris Murray had a good game, but, I mean, you're out there with guys who are still learning the ropes as well. Like, if Scoot Henderson as a rookie is raw and he has to learn the ropes as the number 3 overall pick, you bet your bottom end that Chris Murray has to learn the same things, right? So does Tamani Kamara, and Kamara's kind of come around. Kamara, the last 2-3 weeks, offensively looks completely different than the Tamani Kamara of earlier in the year. I think it's just because he's getting that confidence and that knowledge of what to do and when to do it. And those little things like that you absolutely love to see. All right, going to take a quick break here on Blazers Game Day. When we return, I'm going to hit you with a scoreboard report. Get you up to date on all the scores around the NBA and, of course, the NCAA tournament. Speaking of which, the Beavers are in action over at Gill Coliseum here in just, about 4 minutes, 5 o'clock game. And you can listen to it on our sister station, 1190 KEX, where as long as they keep dancing, we'll keep airing their game. So that's right. You can get a little bit of Beaver basketball and then tune in to the Blazer game. That's beautiful. That's a basketball fan's dream. Beavers on KEX, Blazers on Rip City Radio 620. Scoreboard report coming up next. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhart here with you. Up outside section 330, up at the Pines. If you get here to the arena and you want to come say hi, you can. Or you can just walk by and awkwardly stare at me like, who is this crazy dude with a headset on talking about the Blazers? That's probably what I get the most. So, you can just join in the party. But it is now time for a scoreboard report. Let's take a look around the league and the NCAA tournament, see what scores we have today. First off, in Detroit, the Celtics have the 61-51 lead over the Pistons with a minute to play in the first half. Jaylen Brown leading the way with 16 points and 3 steals. Wiseman for the Pistons has 16 points and 7 boards. In Toronto, the Thunder have the 63-56 lead over the Raptors. Chet Holmgren with 12 points and 6 boards. Kelly Olynyk with 14 points for the Raptors. That is at halftime. Couple games yet to be played tonight. Pelicans at Heat, Cavaliers at Minnesota, Grizzlies at Spurs, Pacers, Warriors, 76ers, Lakers, and of course, the Los Angeles Clippers at your Portland Trailblazers. That is the update on what's going on around the NBA right now. And of course, there's some NCAA stuff going on. As I said here, tipping off just about any second now is the Lady Beavers. They're going to be playing in the NCAA tournament. And if you want to tune in, 1190 KEX, we'll have it for you right there. And again, as long as they keep dancing, you can keep tuning in to the Beavers basketball team, which is beautiful. But let's start in the men's basketball bracket. Halftime right now, number 9, Texas A&M with a 58-44 lead over number 8, Nebraska. Vermont trails Duke 34-29 at the half. 16:59 left in the first. This one just started. Purdue up 7-2 over number 16, Grambling. Later tonight, you also have Charleston at Alabama. Watch out, Bama. The 4 seeds are going down. Longwood at Houston. James Madison at Wisconsin. TCU at Utah State. Grand Canyon at St. Mary's. And final scores from today. Stetson falls to UConn, 91-52. The number 1 Huskies advance. Marquette beats number 15 Western Kentucky, 87-69. Baylor, 92-67 over Colgate. And upset City as number 13 Yale beats number 4 Auburn 78-76. Not a lot of people saw that one coming. In fact, after that game, I saw on Twitter that there are now 0 perfect brackets remaining in NCAA March Madness. So yeah, the hopes of mine looking good fell apart a long time ago. San Diego State beat UAB 69-65. Clemson beat New Mexico 77-56. Colorado gets a bucket with about a second left to grab the 102-100 victory and upset number 7 Florida. You absolutely love to see it. And number 9 Northwestern grabs the 77-65 win over Florida Atlantic. That's your update on the men's bracket. And games going on in the women's bracket. Baylor up on Vanderbilt with 2:56 left in the game, 80-61. Drake and Colorado battling it out. Colorado with the 42-39 lead with 2:55 left in the second. Yeah, with 6.5 left in the second quarter, Maryland up 38-22 over Ohio State. And tipping off any second now over on our sister station, 1190 KEX. You have Eastern Washington against Oregon State. And, of course, a little bit later, Norfolk. That's come on, tell me how bad I'm pronouncing it. Aurora. It's one of those words you just can't say. That was it the other day. Rachel and her alpacas. See? Alpaca. Everyone has their word. What's the one word that y'all can't say? Because I know everyone has one. But Norfolk State versus Stanford, Texas A&M, Nebraska, and a couple other games already went final. But, LSU got their win. Virginia Tech got their win. Kansas State got the win over UP, 78-65. In an upset, Middle Tennessee over Louisville, 71-69. Duke grabs the win. North Carolina grabs the win. Bama grabs the win as well. All right, this is Blazers Game Day. That was a lot to get to, okay? I apologize. A lot of scores to get to when it's March time because, March Madness, nothing but basketball, baby. But it is Blazers Game Day. We're up here at Section 330 at the Pines, up in level 300. So if you're here at the arena, come say hi. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. You can also hear us on YouTube right now. You can't see me. I don't have the camera set up. I'll have those set up for the post-game show. But you go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and you can follow us there as well. And if you are coming to the game tonight, it is a fun game tonight, another celebration game. I unfortunately missed the Asian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I really wanted to come to that one, being a Pacific Islander. I missed it, but the merch was great, and everything they did for the AAPI community was pretty awesome. But today is Women's History Celebration, and the team really taking the time to highlight a bunch of women who have helped this organization and have meant something to the sports world as a whole. There's a bunch of different booths you can get to. You get a passport when you come in with some ideas of what's going on. I'm looking right now at level 300, section C14, so the opposite way of me. There's going to be a stand for Girl Scout cookies. I mean, heck yes, right? Like, who doesn't want some Girl Scout cookies? There's plenty of stuff around the arena you can see right now where they're highlighting icons when it comes to women and the importance in the sports world. There's going to be a pregame parade. The national anthem singer tonight is Alana Rich, a dynamic pop artist who fuses timeless influences with an infectious danceable sound and enigmatic rhetoric. And, of course, the halftime show, this is a cool one, too. I think it's fun when they get a chance to do this. But celebrating 35 years of Blazer dancers. So get to go through a little bit of a time machine, right? And have some former Blazer dancers show up and relive what it was like to be a Blazer dancer once upon a time. So, again, plenty of celebration going on for women's history here. And hopefully we were all like on the cusp, right? And then news broke that it wasn't going to happen. But hopefully when it comes to women's sport in this city, we get the WNBA back at some point. I remember as a kid thinking that the Portland Fire were pretty damn awesome. And they absolutely were. Jackie Stiles was great. The flaming basketball, the Fire name, the WNBA was great. And the league itself was just kind of in its infancy, though. And you will look at that league and what they're doing. They are growing right now. It is as popular as ever. They have so many different players who are the faces of their franchise or faces of the league that people latch onto, like Sabrina Ionescu, obviously Oregon Duck. I'll stand for her. Just, go Ducks, right? Kelsey Plum, who's been great with the Aces. You got, obviously, the Candace Parkers and all the history, the Lisa Leslies who have come through, the Cheryl Swoops. There's so much history in that league. And the fact that it's as popular as ever right now is really great. So I would love for Portland to get a WNBA team back eventually, because if you know anything about this city and how it supports female sports, let me tell you what, the Thorns are, they're kind of a gold standard, in my opinion. A place that can sell out Providence Park nonstop. And if you go to a Timbers game and a Thorns game, there's no difference between the two. It's just the crowd is crazy. Everyone's loving it. The game is wonderful. The athletes are incredible. So, I want the WNBA back. And I hate this nonsense whenever anyone says that. Oh, you're just saying that because you're trying to be, all PC. You wouldn't go to a game. Yeah, bet. I would love to go to a game if WNBA was here, especially as a father of 3 wonderful girls. I remember taking my daughter to the Thorns game for the very first time, and her reaction at the time, she was, 6, 7, looking at me and going, what, the girls are playing? That matters, man. That's when people say representation matters, that's what they mean. So it's pretty awesome, and hopefully get a WNBA team back. But in the absence of a WNBA team, we do get to celebrate Women's History Month here with a Women's History celebration at the Blazers game tonight as they're taking on the Los Angeles Clippers. If you want to join the conversation, you know what to do. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number, or you can go over to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio. Join in the conversation there where Fun P says, my man Chad. I'm not Chad. I'm Chris. But you knew that. Everyone says their man Chad. Everyone loves Chad. Chad is the man. And as he chimes in, Fun P says Caitlin Clark is going to pack arenas. Caitlin Clark, absolutely. Look what she's doing in Iowa, man. And again, it's she's one of the. I don't think she's the greatest player in the history of the women's game, but she's definitely the greatest player of this generation. At least maybe the most popular, right? There's plenty of very, very talented females in the WNBA game. You got one who's Portland's own. Over there at Stanford, Cameron Brink, right? She's projected to be a top 3 pick in the WNBA draft. She's a great basketball player. She went to Southridge High School in Mountainside over her time here in Oregon playing high school hoops. So you got great hoopers here. You got a couple hoopers on the Oregon State women's basketball team that's taking on Eastern Washington right now from Barlow and from South Medford. Like, there's some great high school hoops here. I only know because, I'm selfishly OSAA guy, has been pointed out on Instagram before. So, yeah, man, there's great hoops. Caitlin Clark's absolutely great, though. I can't wait to see her take on the Queen Sabrina one day, see what happens. The triple-double queen, Sabrina Ionescu. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on Blazers Game Day. When we return, it's going to be time for the Coach's Corner. We'll head down to the press conference, hear Coach Chauncey Billups ahead of this game against Los Angeles Clippers. Chris Burkhardt here. Blazers Game Day rolls on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhart here with you. Up at section 330 next to the Pines. If you come in, come say hi. We can talk a little ball. Maybe I'll put a headset on. We can talk shop. But it is time for the Coach's Corner, where we will wait patiently for Michael Shacker to bump that audio up to let me know. There it is.
Not. No DA. No Jeremy, no Tease. Just other guys that, were possible. And scoring. I think that's it.
How's Jeremy doing? Is there hope of him returning? Or?
Yeah, he's getting better. Yeah, Jeremy's getting a lot better. He actually he was really close. I thought he was going to play a couple of games ago and had a little setback. And he ramped it up real strong, and he got sore, had a little setback. So he's getting better.
Tomorrow possible?
It's possible. I don't know. It's probable, but it's possible.
Last injury one for you. Any updates on Shaden?
Shay, yeah, we've been ramping Shay up, so we'll just kind of see how he responds here, in the next couple of days. We'll just see how he responds, but he has been ramping up some, though.
Are you guys getting close yet to the point where it's maybe no longer worth it to bring some of these guys back, or you're not there yet?
I don't think so. I think we got so much growth and development that needs to happen, Aaron, that it don't matter. Like, obviously, we know we're not going to the playoffs, but these dudes need to get better, and they need to get to know each other while playing. So the only way you get better at basketball is playing basketball, So, no, I don't think so. I'm just of the mindset. I'm the type of person that I just always think you should be hooping, and, okay, say they don't play for some time, like, how they getting better? You really not, So I just think there's always something to play for if you're always trying to get better and if you want to be the best that you could be. It really don't matter, It's a basketball game.
Truly the last one of these, I promise. What about Malcolm?
Getting better, too. I've been seeing him on the court. He's kind of ramping his stuff up. I've seen him sprinting and all of that kind of stuff today. And so he's getting better.
Is there hope for him to also be back this season?
Yeah, there's hope for him to be back this season, yeah.
Chauncey, I know we've asked you before about your year with the Clips and your particular assignment, making Paul to be the primary ball handler that year for that 21 team. Can you take me back to what it was like to kind of get through to him certain things from your experience as a player, and then what it was like to coach him in that role?
Yeah, I just remember it was a lot of fun for me to do. It was really kind of my first year coaching, so it was a lot of fun for me to just kind of sit with him and watch film with him and talk with him and share with him what to be looking for when you're the primary ball handler. His natural thing is he could score really well, but when you primary and you got other people that could score, that can't be your first thing. That was probably the biggest thing to get him to understand when to not score or when to bait the defense into a playmaking opportunity, because it wasn't really instinctual for him. His instinct is to just, I see nobody there, I'm going to score. I'm not looking to draw this dude and kick it. So we had a lot of good debates, man, just him and I just sitting there kind of watching film and stuff. And I think he grew a lot in that aspect. His role obviously over the last few years continues to change, but he's Paul George and he can kind of have it his way. But he's when he is looking to facilitate, the only time he struggles is when he's in between and he turns it over. That was an issue then, and I still see him struggling with that sometimes now. But when he's aggressive and he just knows this is what I'm going to do, it's tough to stop him from doing it,
Do you feel like, because obviously you were a high draft pick, a guard who could reasonably play both of those guard positions traditionally, from your experience, is it easier to be that kind of a pass-first kind of player and learn the game that way, or Do you think it's easier to just focus on whatever you're good at, and then you can always get the pass first stuff later?
Yeah, it's not easy to go from like being a scorer. That was one of my biggest struggles, to be honest with you, is learning how to go from being a scoring point guard to a point guard that can score. It's a tough adjustment. It's a tough adjustment because you have to go against some of your instincts a lot of times, as opposed to like if you're actually a point guard that can score, like at any time you can just kind of take over a game for 3 or 4 minutes and then let off the gas and facilitate. It's tough to do it the other way when you're so used to that. But he does a good job of it, when he's asked to do so.
What did you see it do to the defense? Why would you want Paul to handle? Was it because, and we love Pat Bev and we love Reggie, did you feel that he had better playmaking skills? And then when you look at it for this team, when you have a guy like James Harden that is absolutely a playmaker, how does it help this team for Paul to bring up the ball at times?
Yeah, I think then he just commands so much more attention than, at the time Pat or Reggie. The defense was set to stop him anyway, and so any small movements or any small gestures out there, it would command so many people, and it opened up so many playmaking opportunities for him, which in turn later in the game ended up spreading the defense out, and now he was able to get where he wanted to go most of the time or get some of those ISOs. Now, with James, who is one of the best playmakers in the history of the game, to be honest with you, he doesn't have to do it as much. I know that I see they use him a lot more in ISOs, or when James is off the floor, he can facilitate more. But when James is on the floor, it's probably best that he attack, be in attack mode for the most part. So he has to really change up how he plays based on if James is on the floor or not. He's two different players. We good? All right.
There is Coach Billups there at the press conference. And if you heard just the beginning part, it does sound like DeAndre Ayton, Matisse Thybulle, and Jeremy Grant are all out tonight. Anthony Simons is a go. Get some more updates. Hopefully that just means that, they're not going to play the front half, and Jeremy Grant will be available. Maybe DeAndre Ayton will be available for the second of the back-to-back tomorrow night against the Denver Nuggets. Of course, Justin Minaya also out tonight as he's on a two-way deal, and he's just not going to be up here tonight. So Blazers will be shorthanded once again facing the Clippers. No DA is very unfortunate. He did have a air quotes bad game last game out, but that was just bad because he's been having so many good ones lately. But that size is important, and he has gravity. Defenses kind of have to watch out for him for his ability to hit that mid-range jumper and shoot it with ease and get things going. So not a good look for the Blazers to have so many bodies out. But, man, if you ain't healthy, you can't play. On the plus side, Coach Billups did say that Shaedon Sharpe is ramping up his process of getting back. I believe the initial time frame was 6 weeks, and we are at that 6-week mark now. So, and very possible that you see him back on the court before the season's done. And Malcolm Brogdon as well. I know I was asked the other day, is there a reason to play Malcolm? I say yes, because selfishly I like watching good basketball, and he's good at basketball, right? But it does sound like the team wants to get him back on the court before the season's done. So we'll see what happens there as well. But I know I would just love to see Shea getting some run again, getting those legs back under him, and able to head into the offseason with a little bit of momentum. That would be huge. It would be important. So that's your latest update on the injury reports and what's going to go in tonight. I also think it's interesting that Chauncey was talking about the difference between a scoring guard and a guard who can score, right? Like one of them is score first, go. The other one doesn't have to, but he can score when he wants to. And it's funny because I think a guy like James Harden's kind of both when he wants to be. So interesting assessment there from Coach Billups. Shout out to super producer Michael Shacker as well, who's sending me images of what he's looking at. So this is the deal. I'm up here outside Section 330, up at the Pines. Again, come say hi if you get into the building. Shacker is over there in the visiting radio area inside the main bowl. So I can't see him. He can't see me. But I can see the pictures he sends me, and he just sent me a picture. He has 3 laptops open, plus the TV screen, the monitor, the stats monitor that you have there in press row, all tuned in to different basketball games. March Madness is here, my friends, and it's the absolute best. How can you not love March? It's the only time of year where you have 4 screens open, everything with a basketball game going on. Speaking of some March Madness action going on right now on our sister station 1190 KEX, it's Eastern Washington at number 3 Oregon State in the Regional 1 first round of the NCAA Women's Tournament. Oregon State trailing 13-10 to Eastern Washington. 2:18 left in the first quarter. All right, Chris Burkhart here with you. Blazers game day. We're getting you ready for Blazers versus Clippers. We'll take a quick break here, and when we return, we'll hit you with our cold hard truths, brought to you by Coors Beer. That sounds kind of good right now. Coors. I want to go sit in the Coors row, the silver seats again. I had to do that with Chad one time. That was fun. But we're going to bring you our Coors cold hard facts coming up next. Chris Burkhart here. Blazers game day rolls on. And you're home of the Blazers. Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhart here with you. Up in section 330 at the Pines. If you want to come say hi, come do it. All you got to do is stop by, say hi. Hi, I'm John. I love to listen to the show. And I'll be like, hi, John. Nice to meet you. And I'll put a headset on. We can talk shop. Or you can run away scared. That happens too. But no, just come on. Come say hi. Have a little bit of fun. Get ready for Blazers versus Clippers going on tonight at 7 o'clock. And it is a special day here inside Moto before we get to our Coors Cold Hard Facts, and that is that it is Women's History Celebration tonight inside Moda. Community partner She Flies is an initiative under the Sport Oregon Foundation umbrella working to support, engage, and celebrate girls and women in sports across Oregon. Their mission is to connect girls and women to sports through their community grant program, storytelling initiative, and community events. So big initiative there from She Flies. Part of the money developed from the 50-50 raffle. The proceeds to that will go to Sport Oregon She Flies. There's going to be a special pregame parade, a special national anthem singer, a special halftime performance for 35 years of Blazers dancers, special Rip City Made collection, and of course, if you've seen any of the different events that go on, they had a special shirt for the Indigenous Heritage, they had a special shirt for the AAPI Heritage Month, so they have another special Rip City Made collection here for Women's History Month, and there's just so much more going on as well. You'll be handed a little passport when you get into the arena today with plenty of information, so be sure to check it out. All right, time for the Coors Cold Hard Facts, and some of them are going to sound smart, some of them are going to contradict the others, and you're going to understand why here in just a second. But the thing is, there's a lot of injured Blazers right now, right? And not all of them are created equally. What do I mean by that? Well, Coors Cold Hard Fact number one, Shaedon Sharpe needs to be on the floor before the season's over. Want to see him on the floor? He needs to get run under his belt. He needs to have a little bit of action before it's all said and done and before the Blazers wrap it up and head into the summer. I think it's important that he has those legs under him, right? And that he can head into the offseason with momentum. And right now, this is game 70 of 82, so there's only 12 games left. And if he only gets to play 10 of them, that's great. If he only gets to play 6 of them, that's great. It doesn't matter. Just getting a little bit of that rust off, I think is going to be huge for him. Just get into the offseason, and see how things are going, because I want to see him do great things, and I think he can do great things. He's shown it. He has been a human highlight reel of sorts for this Blazers team when he wants to be. His dunks have been incredible. I know every single Blazer fan wants to see him in the dunk contest. You saw this year that he made the jump, and it was the jump that I wanted. I wanted him to be about 15 points per game. Well, he averaged 15.9 through the 32 games that he has played. So there was a marked improvement from Shea. And you love to see that from him, and I would love to continue to see that from him. And again, to see that, he's got to get on the court. And so, yeah, that's my cold hard fact, is he needs to get on the court before the season's done. Just see who this does. But again, I said not all players are created equally in that aspect. And again, what I mean by that is I don't necessarily see a situation in which Malcolm Brogdon needs to be back on the court. Malcolm Brogdon is who he is. We all know what you're going to get with him. We all know the level of consistency he brings. Probably know his trade value too, right? And I think there's a high probability that he is traded in the offseason, most likely to a contender. And if that's the case, you don't want to risk anything happening to him in the offseason that could hamper that, right? You see what happened with Robert Williams. I mean, if something were to happen to Malcolm along those lines, an ACL injury, an Achilles injury, what have you, and it drastically hurts his trade value, then that was malpractice on your part. So I don't know if there is really an initiative to get him on the court. Now, that's just looking at it through the business side of things and the potential of trading him. Selfishly, I want to see him because good things happen when he plays. He's a damn good basketball player. And, in fact, I think maybe there's a situation where the offseason goes the exact way the Blazers wanted to, and maybe he's still in the lineup. He's still on your team. I don't know if it's a foregone conclusion that he's gone. However, it leans heavily in favor of him being moved. It's one of those things you just don't know till it happens, right? And we'll see. But from the asset perspective, I don't know if it makes that much sense to get him on the court. Might be the same thing, too, with a guy like Jeremy Grant, because he's another guy who's been rumored to go here, go there. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he makes a lot of sense for the Blazers long term. But these are things you got to weigh. And I think in that vein, too, I think another cold, hard fact for this team is if development is paramount, which it sounds like it is, then you need to truly develop some of your young guys over these last 12 games. And that means playing big minutes from all those young guys. So Scoot getting 30-plus, that needs to happen. Needs to happen every single night the rest of the way. Ryan Rupert, he doesn't get spot minutes. Put him in as a key member of your rotation. Let him in. Let him cook. You put a draft pick on him. He has a future. He just needs run. What I've been hearing is that, confidence with him matters. And so once he gets that going, there's high hopes for him. Well, you know what builds that confidence? Playing basketball games. Play him and play him in bunches. Right now, Justin Minaya is not playing tonight, but Justin Manaya's future with the team is probably not what Ryan Rupert's is. That's a two-way guy versus your second-round pick. Get Rupert out there. That's what I want to see. Chris Murray playing 33 minutes. I want to see that. Tamani Kamara playing 30 minutes. I want to see that. Get the young guys out there. As the kids say, let them cook. Everyone can cook except Russell Wilson. We don't want to see him cooking anymore. He cooks stale food. But let everyone else cook. That's what I want to see. And then, be competitive. I think you can be in games like this. The Blazers just go out there and fight and give you a fun brand of basketball to see down the stretch. I know fans aren't really caring about wins or losses. Some of them want losses more than wins to improve the draft stock. But if you just go out there and play a good brand of basketball, I think you'll be happy with that. I'll be happy with that. All right, let's check in with the YouTube chat. Rachel's chimed in. She said, go Bees. I don't know if she was around for my struggle with the word alpaca. Alpaca, paca. Why? Why are there just some words that you struggle to say no matter what? Let's see. Fun P wants to know where to buy tickets. Just go to Ticketmaster. They're not that bad right now. Shaden's the man. He's confident, proven he's going to be special. I just don't want to rush him back, especially if we're tanking. And that's true. You don't want to rush him back, P. That would be the worst case scenario. I think he's ready. He's been ramping up. It's just a matter of just weighing those options. Is it better or is it worse? And I think it's better. I think getting the legs under you in the long run is hugely beneficial. So that's what I want to see. Alpaca. No, see, I don't like the fact that you had to spell it out phonetically like that. Now I'm going to always say it slow, Rachel. Alpaca. No, I got to try to say things seamless. Alpaca. But when you say it fast, then I get tongue-tied. Everyone has that word. Like I said, what is yours? It's like my father-in-law. He struggles to say Aurora. I don't struggle to say Aurora. He can't say it. Ay, alpaca. Isn't Cusco? Isn't he an alpaca? Can I just say Cusco? Does that work? Is it a llama? Are llamas different? What makes them different? Let's go down to animal biology, okay? That's where Blazers Game Day is going. We're going down animal biology and what differentiates alpaca and a llama. There we go. That's what you get when you try to correct me on the YouTubes. Alpaca. Thanks, Rachel. I can always count on you for helping me get through my tongue-tied strangeness, as it were. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on Blazers Game Day. Fun fact, the alpaca is a cousin to the llama. Shout out, Rachel. When we return on Blazers Game Day, though, we're going to hit you with our keys to the game. I'm going to tell you what I think needs to happen for the Trailblazers to get an upset victory over the Clippers here at Moda. Chris Burkhart here with you on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Hey, welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Shout out to fan Orlando over here who stopped by. He did say, "What? Hey, Chris," and then he said, "Where's Chad?" You know how sometimes motorcycles have a sidecar. Chad drives the motorcycle. I get the sidecar. But shout out to Orlando because he said, he agrees with me, and Justice for All Front to Back is an amazing album. Also, he pulled out his Portland 316 T-shirt so we can connect through wrestling. So shout out. That's why I said that's what happens. Come up here. Come say hi. We can have some fun during the commercial breaks. If you want to talk hoops, we can. But it is now time for our keys to the game. And you know what? It obviously going to be similar to what I said last time. Don't turn the ball over, rebound the ball, got to score buckets, yada, yada, yada. Math tells me if you score more points than the other team, odds are you win, okay? But realistically, what this team needs to do, number one, is BS, okay? And I'm not censoring a bad word. It's just BS. Ball security. That is the most important thing for this team to be competitive and steal a game here. You look at the game on Wednesday when the Clippers had 15 steals. They turned those into easy points. The Blazers' Achilles heel as of late has been ball security. It got them in NOLA, it got them in Chicago, and it got them on Wednesday. If they don't secure the ball, it can get them again tonight. You can't give a team free possessions. I've said this so many times. If you miss a shot, it's fine. Okay, at least you had an attempt and a chance to get points. But if you just turn the ball over, you didn't stand a chance. You had no chance. You gave them a free possession. They turn around, they get points off of it. You just dig yourself a deeper hole. Ball security, absolutely huge. Secondarily, it's going to be guys like Dwap Reed, probably a little bit of run from Moses Brown tonight. And the smaller guys, the air quotes smaller, Jabari, Tumani, those guys are going to have to work extra hard on the glass tonight without DeAndre Ayton in the lineup. He was a late scratch from this game. If you're just tuning in, Coach Billups said he, Matisse Thybulle, and Jeremy Grant are all out. So without your starting center, arguably your second, if not best player on the court over the last month, you're going to have all those other guys really show up to clean up on the glass and win that rebound battle. They did lose the rebound battle to the Clippers on Wednesday, 42-38, and that was with DeAndre Ayton grabbing a team-high 7, okay? So you're going to need everybody to show up. And this was something that Joe in Buffalo pointed out in the fifth quarter, was in that game, every single player in the lineup had at least 2 rebounds. Every single player in the Blazers lineup. You don't see that too often. That's a good rebound distribution. But you're going to have everyone step up in that field and take advantage. Now, third, I think where you can give a puncher's chance in this one is just attack the rim at all costs. If you can get these guys into foul trouble and get trips to the line, then you can take advantage, get those free points, and stay in the game. I mean, neither team really attacked in a way that put the other team in foul trouble on Wednesday. Both teams got to the free throw line just 15 times. Now, of those 15, the Clippers hit 13, that's 86%. The Blazers hit 10, that's 66%. So you get to the line, but then you got to make them. That's important as well. But if you do those things, I think you're going to be in for a good basketball game. And that's what you can root for at this point. I mean, the wins, they are hard to come by. The Blazers have played 69 games already. They've won just 19 of them, right? But they've been competitive in a lot of games, and that's what you want to see tonight. It's just competitive. Go out there, go fight, go hard, and let the chips fall where they may, okay? Hopefully you get into a situation where, you guys aren't, down to the wire. It's a 2-point game. You're doing everything you can to win it. And next thing you know, all your starters played 40 minutes on the first night of a back-to-back. That would not be great. Because remember, the Blazers get right back to it tomorrow, same time, 7 o'clock tip, against the defending champion Denver Nuggets. So things aren't getting easier for the Blazers. In fact, the Blazers have an interesting little schedule of sorts coming up. They obviously have tonight against the Clippers, and then they have tomorrow against the Nuggets, and that ends their homestand. Then they go on the road for one of their longer trips of the year, another 7-game road trip. This one, 7 games in 15 days. On the road at Houston, on the road at Atlanta, at Miami, which is going to be a really fun one because I know Miami Heat fans are just going to be like ready to just tear into the Blazers because we're the reason, as fans and radio hosts, we're the reason that the Blazers didn't trade Dame to Miami. After that, they got a stop in the city built for Disneyland, Orlando, Florida, and then they have Charlotte and at the Wizards. So those are a couple games. I mean, you look at Charlotte and Washington and even Houston, possible winnable games, and then you end that trip on the road in Boston against the Celtics before coming home for your final 3 home games of the year. New Orleans, Golden State, and Houston. And then, of course, your final game of the season at Golden One Center on the road in Sacramento to take on the Kings. So there's still some winnable games in here for the Blazers. Like I said, you look at the standings. They have Atlanta on that trip. Atlanta is currently 30-39. They're not locked in, but they do have a 4.5 game lead over Brooklyn for the final play-in spot. They do have Washington on that road trip. Washington actually one of the few teams with a worse record than the Blazers. They are sitting at 12-58, so there's a winnable game. You have Charlotte, who's at 17-52. There's another winnable game. You look at the Western Conference, and then you have Houston, who's on that road trip. They are 34-35. Don't look now, though. Houston is going to be a tough game because you can look at their record and say, okay, yeah, they're below 500. They're obviously much better than they were last year, mainly because Ime Udoka's at the helm. But don't count this team out. They have won 7 games in a row and are currently just 2.5 games behind the Golden State Warriors for the final play-in spot. So there's still room and time for this thing to flip on its head. And for Houston, they do have a game left on their schedule against Golden State, which could help them even more. So Houston's going to give you everything they have in an attempt to get that final play-in spot, because why not, man? That young team in the play-in, that would be so good for a young team on the come-up. They're going to want that. So, again, there's some easy games. There's some hard games. There's some games against teams like Boston and Denver, who both very well might be in the NBA Finals this year. Oh, boy. But we're sitting here, game 70 of 82, 12 to go. What do you want to see happen? What is most important for you down the stretch for this team? Right? What's most important? Development? Is it getting a couple wins? What is it? Chime in. Go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and we'll see what's going on. Rachel says, if I said alpaca earlier, I missed it, but I heard you try to pronounce it a few days ago. Yeah, well, I did. That's why I referenced it, Rachel. It was because I said it last game out, and even my wife laughed at me because she's like, yeah, alpaca. So apparently a word you can't say. Well, I can now thanks to al-pac-, Rachel helping me, okay? But my wife did laugh at that one. My wife loves to laugh at me. My wife also appreciated that I called out my wife for her my wife appreciates me that I called out my mom for her lack of punctuality, because she's like, finally, you're throwing someone else under the bus besides me. I don't throw you under the bus, babe. I love you. I just tell stories about you and the girls. Mom, I love Mom too, but I can throw Mom under the bus. It's more fun that way. But we'll see, Rachel. It's only a matter of time before I have another slip of the tongue with a word that I can't pronounce, and you're going to have to help me out. But what do you want to see? Again, youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, join the show. Give me your thoughts on this one. Blazers versus Clippers. Dozen games left, man. A dozen games left. We're almost done. Almost done. And then the best part is even when you're done, you're never done, because you just get to turn all your attention to the draft lottery, and then you get to turn your attention to the draft itself. And you know what? Before you know it, you're going to blink, and you're going to wake up in Las Vegas at Thomas & Mack Center ready for some action in the NBA Summer League. So things are getting interesting. And real quick before we go, we got just a few minutes here. But you can take a look at Tankathon right now, and that's why I talk about how some of these games coming up are very important. As it stands right now, the Blazers, 5th worst record in the league, so they have the 5th best odds going into the NBA draft lottery. They are 2 games back of Charlotte. So it's one of those games, like that Charlotte game is a winnable game, but if you're the Blazers, do you want to win that game? Do you want to win that game? Because if you lose that game, you gain ground, and there is a small chance that the Blazers drop into that 4th spot. Very small, but it's still there. They got about a 4-game cushion between them and San Antonio at third. And the difference between 4 and 5 makes a lot of difference. Makes a lot of difference because right now, if you're 5, you're at a 10.5% chance of getting the number 1 overall pick. If you're at 4, you're at a 12.5% chance. That's an extra 2.5%. That matters. That matters a lot. And 12.5 is a little closer to the 14% that the top 3 teams get. So, again, we'll see what happens. But it all starts before any of that. Before you're on the road at, what is it called, the Spectrum Arena now or whatever it is in Charlotte. You got to take care of business here tonight against the Los Angeles Clippers. James Harden, Paul George, and company. So there you go. There you have it. If you want to continue the conversation throughout the rest of the show, you know what to do. Head on over to X, type in Chris J. Burkhart. Give me a follow if you haven't already. Tweet at me all your hot takes. Tell me how bad my takes are.